There is a reason you are here. Not by accident. Not by coincidence. You arrived at this exact moment because something within you has already whispered the truth. You're not just the observer, you're also what's being observed. Start today. Pause for a breath. Feel the strangeness of that sentence sink in. You have been told all your life that you are the thinker of thoughts, the watcher of events, the silent witness behind the curtain. But what if that story is incomplete? What if being the observer was only half the picture, and the other half was waiting for you right now? In this very transmission, notice how you found your way here. Perhaps it was late at night, scrolling endlessly, searching for something nameless. Perhaps it was in the quiet of morning, before dawn, when the veil feels thinner and your questions feel sharper. Whatever path brought you, the fact remains. You didn't stumble upon these words. Something called you. Something aligned. Something new. Because the truth is, destiny doesn't shout. It doesn't crash through the door. It slips in softly, in the form of synchronicities, in the form of a title that makes your heart skip, in the form of a voice you've never heard but somehow recognize. And here you are, seated at the crossroads of remembrance. Imagine for a moment that your life has been a movie you've been both watching and acting in. You thought you were only the audience, sitting in the theater of consciousness. But suddenly, the spotlight swings, and you see your own face on stage. You realize you're not just observing, you're being observed. You are the actor and the watcher, the question and the answer, the dreamer and the dream. This realization is not abstract philosophy. It is alive. It pulses in your cells. It vibrates in your breath. Every time you feel déjà vu, every time you sense a pattern repeating, every time you feel as though reality itself is glancing back at you, you are brushing against this truth. And yet, for so long, you may have ignored it, brushed it aside as coincidence, convinced yourself it was imagination. But tonight, in this moment, the veil lifts. You are not here by chance. You are here because your future self has already remembered who you truly are. And now that self is sending ripples backwards through time, calling you to awaken. You feel it, don't you? A subtle stirring in the body, a tingling in the spine, a quiet recognition that this is not just another video. This is a doorway, a signal, a mirror. So let me ask you, are you ready to step across? Are you willing to let the lines between observer and observed dissolve? Are you willing to let reality notice you, respond to you, shape itself through you? Because in this unfolding journey, you will see the loops you've been caught in. You will feel the science and symbolism converge. You will recognize your own story hidden in these words. And step by step, you will remember that the universe doesn't just happen in front of you, it happens through you, with you, as you. This is where your awakening begins. Not tomorrow, not someday, but here, now, today. You've begun to sense it already, the subtle paradox of your existence. You've lived much of your life believing you are the observer, the one who notices, the one who reflects, the one who analyzes the world moving in front of you. But beneath that surface role, something else has been happening, hasn't it? Something deeper. Think back to the repeating patterns in your life, the arguments that circle back like seasons, the relationships that echo the same dynamics, just with different faces, the goals you set, the breakthroughs you almost touch, only to find yourself sliding back into the same familiar struggle. It feels like a loop, like watching a movie on repeat with only slight variations in the plot. This is what I call the observer loop. The trap of standing outside your own life, endlessly watching, endlessly analyzing, but never quite stepping into the pulse of transformation. You replay the same thoughts, the same doubts, the same inner dialogues. Why is this happening again? Didn't I already learn this lesson? Why do I always end up here? It feels almost mechanical, doesn't it? Like you've been dropped into a simulation, following scripts written by something you can't quite name. Days blur into weeks, choices blur into habits. And soon, you're not just living, you're looping. But here's the strange twist. As you're observing the loop is also observing you. Every time you identify yourself as the one who suffers, the universe echoes back a reflection of suffering. Every time you declare, I can't break free of this cycle, the cycle reinforces itself with uncanny precision. It is as if the stage of reality is listening, waiting for your cues, reflecting back exactly the identity you project onto it. And that's why you felt trapped, because you've been both the witness and the actor without realizing it. You thought you were only the audience, but the spotlight keeps turning back on you. And the more you resist, the brighter it shines. Consider how time plays into this. When you wake up each morning, do you notice how the mind immediately summons yesterday's problems? The unfinished conversations, the lingering fears, the checklist of worries. In that instant, before the day has even begun, you're already re-entering the loop. It's like stepping onto a treadmill that has no off switch. The body remembers. The emotions remember. The mind recycles. And yet you've also glimpsed moments when the loop cracked open. Those uncanny flashes of synchronicity when reality seemed to whisper, "There's more." The chance encounters, the repeating numbers, the dreams that spill into waking life. Those were not accidents. They were invitations. Brief reminders that you're not just stuck in a cycle, you are creating the cycle, sustaining the cycle, participating in the cycle in ways you've never been told. Let's speak plainly. The loop is not punishment. It is not proof that you are broken. It is proof that you are powerful. Powerful enough to sustain entire realities without even knowing it. Every repeated struggle is a teacher. Every repeated thought is a signpost. Every repeated emotion is a mirror. The loop is showing you something essential. You are not just observing life from the sidelines. You are weaving it from within. But here's the danger. If you do not awaken to this, the loop will continue. It will stretch across months, years, even lifetimes. You'll mistake repetition for fate. You'll confuse familiar pain for destiny. And you'll shrink your infinite potential into the narrow comfort of predictability. You know this feeling, don't you? The quiet resignation that says, maybe this is just how I am. Maybe this is just how life island. That thought itself is the lock on the loop. And yet, right now, by listening, you are already shaking that lock loose. Because by naming the loop, by seeing it not as failure, but as reflection, you are stepping into a new position of awareness. The loop no longer owns you. You are starting to observe the observer itself. And in that double vision, the first cracks in the cycle appear. You are not trapped. You are being trained. Reality has been mirroring back to you, again and again, until you finally recognize your own fingerprints on the glass. The question is, will you keep circling? Or will you step off the wheel and see what happens when the observer and the observed are no longer separate? This is where the science meets the symbolism. This is where the metaphor dissolves into physics. Because quantum reality is not about distant theories. It is about your everyday patterns, your everyday awareness, your everyday loops. And once you understand this, everything changes. When you hear the word quantum, you might imagine chalkboards filled with equations, or physicists speaking in riddles about particles that vanish and reappear. But at its essence, quantum physics is not just about subatomic particles, it's about reality itself, bending and shimmering at the edges of what you believe is possible. Let me show you. In quantum experiments, scientists discovered something baffling. Particles don't exist as solid objects until they are measured. Before observation, they exist as waves of probability, shimmering clouds of potential. In one instant, a particle can be in two places at once. In another, it can vanish from here and reappear over there, as if space itself bent to its will. And the most haunting discovery of all, whether a particle shows up as a wave or a solid depends entirely on how it is observed. Pause on that. A particle waits for attention before deciding what to become. Now feel the poetry of that. Isn't that exactly what your life feels like? Infinite possibilities swirling around you. Relationships, choices, timelines, yet only the one you give your focus to solidifies. The one you measure with your belief, your attention, your energy, that's the one that becomes real. It's as though your consciousness is the experimenter, and reality is the particle, waiting patiently to know what role to play. The observer and the observed, the dreamer and the dream, the wave and the collapse. But let's go deeper. Physicists also speak of superposition, the idea that multiple possibilities exist at the same time until observation collapses them into one. Isn't that the same as your future? Right now, countless versions of you exist. The you who said yes, the you who said no, the you who took the risk, the you who stayed safe. They are all shimmering in the quantum field. But the moment you pour your awareness into one, it begins to crystallize into your lived reality. And then there's entanglement, Einstein's so-called spooky action at a distance. Two particles, separated by miles, even light years, can influence one another instantly, as if they are secretly one. Change one, and the other shifts too. Doesn't this mirror the invisible threads between you and the people in your life? Haven't you felt the sudden text from someone you were just thinking about? The uncanny synchronicity of meeting a stranger who answers a question you hadn't voiced? You are not separate. You are entangled. Science shows us what mystics have always known. You are woven into the fabric of existence. Every thought, every emotion, every act of attention ripples outward like vibrations on a drumhead, resonating far beyond what you can see. And this is where symbolism enters, because raw science, though beautiful, can feel cold without the warmth of meaning. Imagine your consciousness as a painter's brush, sweeping across the canvas of possibility. Each stroke is a choice, each color a belief, each line an act of attention. The canvas doesn't resist, it waits for you to create. And yet, if you stand too long observing without painting, the brush begins to drip, and the same old images repeat themselves. That is the loop you've been living. Probability collapsing into the same patterns because your attention hasn't shifted. Like light traveling through the same prism, refracting into the same colors again and again. But here's the invitation. What if you could choose differently? What if you realized that the observer effect isn't just for physicists in laboratories? It's for you, right here, right now. The life you believe is fixed is actually trembling in superposition, waiting for you to collapse a new outcome. You're not just watching, you're shaping. You're not just thinking, you're transmitting. You're not just here to observe, you are here to be observed by the very universe you've been waiting for. Notice how even language mirrors this truth. When you feel seen by another, don't you feel more alive, more real? Reality itself is doing that with you. The cosmos is not blind, it is participatory. It watches back, and so, the science and the symbolism meet in you. You are the living paradox. You are the particle and the wave, the story and the storyteller. The quantum field is not far away, it is the very space between your thoughts. The breath before your next choice. The shimmering pause between possibility and form. This is why you've been sensing déjà vu. This is why synchronicities follow you like breadcrumbs. The universe is not random. It is responsive. It is reflecting your observer's gaze, moment by moment, with uncanny precision. The only question is, will you continue collapsing the same patterns? Or will you step into a new observation, a new coherence, a new reality that has been waiting for your attention all along? Now, let me turn the mirror toward you. You've heard the science. You've felt the symbolism. But the real awakening begins when you recognize yourself inside these truths. So let me ask you gently, but directly. Have you noticed how often life seems to circle back to the same point, as if the script was written in loops? Do you ever find yourself standing in the middle of a moment and thinking, I've been here before? Do you sometimes sense that your thoughts are not entirely your own, that they ripple out into the field, only to echo back as circumstances, conversations, or coincidences? When someone crosses your mind, and then they call, do you dismiss it as coincidence? Or do you secretly feel the deeper pattern at work? And what about time? Do you ever feel it bend? Those moments when minutes stretch into eternities, or hours vanish in a blink? When you look back on the past year, does it feel both impossibly long and strangely short at the same time? Be honest with yourself. Haven't you felt reality watching you back? That eerie sensation that the universe is listening, adjusting, arranging around you? Perhaps in the quiet hours before dawn, when the veil feels thin, perhaps in the middle of laughter with friends, when you suddenly feel the presence of something larger. And when you feel unseen, unheard, unnoticed, doesn't part of you ache, not because people missed you, but because reality itself seemed to turn its face away? Doesn't your being crave to be acknowledged, not just by others, but by existence itself? You've had moments where the boundaries blurred, haven't you? Where you felt both inside your body and outside it at the same time. Where the world felt like a dream you were both dreaming and walking through. Where you realized that maybe, just maybe, you weren't only here to watch life happen. Maybe life was happening through you. And what about those times when you almost gave up? When the weight of repeating patterns made you want to surrender. Yet somehow, just before the breaking point, something shifted, an insight, a synchronicity, a doorway. Haven't you wondered why that happens? Why the breakthrough always hides behind the breakdown? Even now, as you listen, do you feel the subtle electricity in your skin? The way your breath seems to deepen on its own? The way your heart leans in as though it's been waiting for this conversation all along? Doesn't that tell you something? Doesn't it whisper that this moment is not random? Let me ask you this. If the universe truly is responsive, if attention collapses reality into form, then what has your attention been building? What loops has your focus been strengthening? And more importantly, what new reality has been waiting, just outside your habitual gaze, ready for you to notice it? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine. What would happen if you stopped identifying as just the watcher of life and allowed yourself to feel the gaze of life upon you? How would it feel to walk into a room knowing that reality is rearranging itself to meet your awareness? Would you breathe differently, stand differently, choose differently? And if you knew beyond all doubt that your future self is already real, already watching you, already whispering guidance into your present, how would that change the way you listen to your own intuition? The truth is, you already know these answers. The questions are not to test you, they are to remind you. Because deep down, you've always known that reality is not solid, fixed, or distant. It is intimate. It is listening. It is entangled with you. So let me ask one final question for this moment. What would happen if you dared to live as though this were true? Not tomorrow, not someday, but right now. Would the loop finally break? Would the butterfly finally tear through the cocoon? Would you finally step into the life that has been waiting for you all along? Sit with that. Let it stir you. Because the next step in this journey is to see that the solution is not hidden in effort or struggle. It is hidden in the quality of your attention, the coherence of your being, the alignment of your gaze. You've felt the weight of the loop. You've recognized the signs in your own life, the repetitions, the synchronicities, the echoes that keep circling back. And you've begun to see that reality is not a fixed stage, but a living field responding to your awareness. So the question rises, how do you shift it? How do you step beyond the loop and into the life that has been waiting for you? Most people will tell you to try harder, to fight, to push, to hustle your way out of the cycle. But deep down, you know that effort has never been the answer. Haven't you tried? Haven't you pushed yourself into exhaustion, only to find the same walls standing in your way? The truth is startling in its simplicity. It's not about effort, it's about the quality of your attention. Think of light. A scattered beam illuminates vaguely, but a focused laser can cut through steel. Your awareness works the same way. Scattered across worries, regrets, distractions, it produces nothing but noise and repetition. But focused, coherent, aligned your attention becomes a force that reshapes matter itself. What if I told you that coherence is the hidden key? That when your thoughts, emotions, and body all move in harmony, reality has no choice but to reflect that state back to you. This is not mysticism, it is physics. A coherent field influences the probabilities around it. A coherent heart-mind state sends ripples into the quantum field that are far stronger than scattered signals of doubt and fear. So here is the invitation. Stop trying to force outcomes through effort. Begin cultivating the quality of your attention. Notice how often you observe life with a fragmented gaze, half here, half elsewhere, half doubting, half hoping. That is incoherence. That is why the loop feels unbreakable. Now imagine turning your gaze into alignment. Imagine breathing into your body until your heart slows, your mind steadies, your energy gathers. Imagine focusing on a single possibility, not with desperation, but with reverence. Not begging the universe, but harmonizing with it. That is coherence. That is attention elevated into presence. And something miraculous happens when you practice this. The loop begins to dissolve. Patterns that once repeated lose their grip. Opportunities begin appearing in ways you could not have scripted. Why? Because you are no longer just watching reality, you are attuning to it. You are entering into resonance with what has already been waiting for you. Think of music. When two strings vibrate at the same frequency, one will cause the other to resonate without even being touched. That is what your coherent attention does. It vibrates in alignment with the version of reality you desire, and that reality begins to hum back, until suddenly you find yourself living inside the song you once only imagined. The power was never in pushing. It was always in tuning. And coherence doesn't just change your life, it changes the collective. Because when one person stabilizes their attention, it creates a ripple effect, a morphic resonance, that makes it easier for others to do the same. You've felt this before, haven't you? When you walk into a room with someone who is calm, centered, radiant, the whole space shifts. Everyone breathes differently. That's coherence at work. So ask yourself now, what if you stopped scattering your energy into doubt and began gathering it into alignment? What if you stopped believing you had to earn reality's attention and instead realized that reality has been waiting to respond to your coherence? You are not powerless in the loop. You are the loop's author. And once you write with clarity, with harmony, with focus, the story changes. Here is the hidden truth you've been circling. Awakening is not about straining to become something else. It is about remembering the quality of presence you already carry and amplifying it until the universe cannot help but respond. Not effort, not struggle, not more force, but coherence, attention, presence. This is the moment where the veil begins to lift. The next step is not just listening, it is participation. And in that participation, even the simple acts you take right now, what you choose to do in this very space, become powerful rituals that anchor coherence into the field. This is the moment where your participation becomes more than passive listening. You've been absorbing the words, feeling them resonate, sensing the truth behind them. But now, let's turn what you do next into a sacred act, because even the smallest actions, when infused with intention, carry quantum weight. Think about it. In your daily life, how often do you scroll, click, or type without presence? Each gesture becomes automatic, drained of meaning. But what if you treated every action as a transmission of energy? What if a simple touch of your finger became a prayer, a declaration, a pulse into the quantum field? So right now, I invite you to do something deceptively simple. Breathe, soften your gaze, and when you feel it, when your attention has gathered into coherence, press the like button. Not as a casual click, but as an offering. Imagine that click as a signal, a flare you send into the cosmos, declaring, I am aligning with this frequency. I am choosing resonance over repetition. That gesture, small as it seems, is not small. It is the same principle as the double-slit experiment, the act of observation collapsing waves into form. By marking your presence, you're collapsing possibility into coherence. You're telling reality, I see, and I am seen, as E. And then, consider the comment box not as a digital text field, but as a sacred altar. Each word you place there becomes a spell, an imprint into the morphic field. When you write, I claim this awakening, or I am coherence now, you're not just typing, you are inscribing a declaration into the collective record. Those who come after you will see it, feel it, resonate with it, and your words will ripple far beyond what you can measure. Sharing, too often treated as trivial, is in fact a form of transmission. When you press share, you are not merely distributing content. You are extending resonance. You are allowing the frequency you've tuned into to entangle with someone else's timeline. Imagine the butterfly effect. One share shifts one person's awareness, who then shifts another, and suddenly an unseen web of coherence begins to spread through the collective. And then there is the most intimate act of all, subscribing. This is not about joining a channel, it's about anchoring yourself into a field of remembrance. To subscribe is to say, I choose to keep returning. I choose to stay connected. I choose to walk this path not as a passerby, but as a participant. It is a vow, a tether, a commitment to your own unfolding. Understand this. The universe doesn't measure the size of your actions. It measures the intention, the quality of attention you infuse into them. A single breath taken in coherence can ripple further than years of unconscious doing. Likewise, a simple act, like, comment, share, subscribe, when infused with sacred awareness, becomes an initiation. This is not manipulation. This is recognition. You are recognizing that nothing you do is neutral. Every movement, every gesture, every thought is creative. The only question is, are you creating unconsciously? Or are you creating with intention? Right now, you are invited to shift from passive observer to active co-creator, to see the digital space not as separate from the sacred, but as an extension of it, to treat your participation as ritual, your presence as offering, your engagement as spellwork. Pause and feel this. When thousands gather in coherence, even through a screen, the field itself amplifies. Each action becomes a note in a symphony. Each person who clicks, writes, shares, or subscribes in coherence strengthens the resonance for all. You are not just doing this for yourself. You are contributing to a field that uplifts others who are silently waiting for their own reminder. So let this be your ritual. Before you press, before you type, before you share, breathe. Gather your awareness. Imagine light pouring through your hands, into your fingertips, into the act itself, and then release it, knowing you've anchored something into the field that will continue to ripple long after this moment ends. You see, even this, what might look like ordinary digital interaction, is a rehearsal for life itself. Because once you learn to infuse intention into the smallest of acts, you begin to live in coherence everywhere. In how you speak, how you walk, how you love, how you create. And when that happens, you are no longer looping, you are transmitting. You are no longer just watching, you are participating. You are no longer just the observer, you are what's being observed, shining with coherence, shifting the probabilities of the world around you. This is how personal awakening becomes collective awakening, and that is where we must go next. Feel this truth. Your awakening is not just your own. It is a thread in a vast tapestry, a spark in a constellation of countless others who are stirring, remembering, reclaiming. Every shift you make in your inner world ripples outward, altering the field for all of humanity. Science calls it morphic resonance, the principle that when a new pattern is established, it becomes easier for others to access. Like a path carved through the forest, the more it is walked, the clearer it becomes. When you raise your frequency, when you embody coherence, you make it easier for others to do the same. Your breakthrough becomes their permission slip. Your courage becomes their bridge. Haven't you felt this in your own life? When someone you admire steps into their power, doesn't it ignite something in you? When a friend finds peace after years of struggle, doesn't it give you hope that you too can find your way? That is morphic resonance in action. And just as you've felt it, others will feel it from you. You are not isolated. You are entangled. Quantum physics shows us that entangled particles can influence each other across vast distances, as if space and time do not exist between them. This isn't just theory, it is the underlying fabric of our collective awakening. The vibration you hold here, now, ripples through the web of life, touching people you may never meet, in places you may never see. So when you breathe in coherence, someone across the globe exhales relief without knowing why. When you choose love over fear, a child you will never meet suddenly feels safe. When you declare, "I am awake," the field of human consciousness tilts ever so slightly toward awakening. This is why your journey matters not only for you, but for all of us. The loop you break in yourself breaks the loop in the collective. The coherence you stabilize in your body becomes stability in the wider field. The awakening you embody accelerates the awakening of the species. And this is not abstract, it is urgent. Look around at the state of our world. Systems unraveling, crises escalating, humanity seemingly trapped in its own loops of war, fear, and division. It may feel overwhelming, as though nothing you do could possibly matter against such scale. But the quantum truth is the opposite. The smallest shift in coherence at the level of the individual has exponential impact on the collective. One tuning fork sets another vibrating. One candle ignites 1,000 more. One voice speaking truth awakens echoes across centuries. And so it is with you. You might doubt this. You might say, "I'm just one person. How can I change the world?" But let me remind you, the world is not outside you. The world is entangled with you. The frequency you hold becomes the frequency the world has access to. And already, you are part of something larger. Think of this very moment. Thousands, perhaps millions, across space and time, are watching these words, breathing into the same truth, awakening in sync. This is not coincidence. This is resonance. You are not alone, you are part of a field that is swelling, rising, cresting like a wave. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a network of lights across the earth, each one representing an awakening being. Some faint, some bright, some just flickering on. Now see how your light pulses stronger as you breathe into coherence. Notice how nearby lights begin to glow brighter too. This is the collective field alive, responsive, interconnected, and the more we remember this truth, the faster the shift accelerates. Because what once took lifetimes to awaken in a single soul now awakens in waves. What once felt like isolated sparks now burns as wildfire. Humanity is not collapsing, it is transforming. And you are one of the catalysts. This is why you feel the urgency, why you are drawn to messages like this. Because some part of you already knows you're not here just to survive, just to consume, just to watch the loops repeat endlessly. You are here to be the pattern breaker. You are here to be the one who embodies a new frequency so strongly that others cannot help but remember. So take heart. Every coherent breath you take is activism. Every conscious choice you make is revolution. Every time you step into the truth that you are both the observer and the observed, you lift not just yourself, you lift us all. This is the beauty of collective awakening. You don't have to save the world. You only have to resonate. And when you resonate in truth, the world begins to save itself. And this brings us to the next step, the embodiment of this truth. Not just as theory, not just as science, not just as hope, but as lived metaphor, because sometimes the deepest truths cannot be explained. They must be felt. They must be lived in image, in symbol, in story. To truly feel what this awakening means, let us step beyond science and language and into metaphor, because sometimes the heart understands through story what the mind cannot grasp through logic. Picture the butterfly. For most of its life, it crawls as a caterpillar, inching across branches, devouring leaves, bound to the ground. Its reality is small, predictable, repetitive. Day after day, loop after loop, consume, rest, move forward a little, only to repeat again. Sound familiar? And then one day, without warning, the caterpillar weaves itself into a cocoon. To the outside world, it looks like nothing is happening, stillness, waiting, perhaps even death. But inside, everything is dissolving. The very body of the caterpillar melts into a primordial soup. Its old form disintegrates completely, but within that dissolution, something miraculous emerges. Imaginal cells. At first, these imaginal cells are attacked by the caterpillar's immune system because they are too new, too different, too radical. But they persist. They begin to cluster, to resonate, to communicate with one another. And eventually, they create a new blueprint, a butterfly. Do you see? That is you. That is us. The loops you've lived are the caterpillar stage. The breakdowns, the dissolutions, the nights you felt like everything was falling apart, those were the cocoon. And the strange, luminous ideas rising inside you, the visions of freedom, of awakening, of coherence, those are your imaginal cells. They are not fantasies. They are the future, already alive inside you, waiting for resonance, for coherence, for embodiment. But it doesn't stop with butterflies. Consider water at the edge of boiling. For so long, the molecules move faster and faster, colliding with intensity, but nothing seems to change. The pot looks the same. And then, in an instant, without warning, the phase transition happens. Liquid becomes vapor. The structure of reality itself changes. That is what collective awakening feels like. Pressure building, loops intensifying, systems collapsing, until suddenly, the phase transition, the quantum leap, and what was once impossible becomes inevitable. Or think of DNA. Hidden within every cell of your body is the code of your potential. Most of it lies dormant, unexpressed, but under certain conditions, environment, resonance, intention, new sequences awaken, new capacities unfold. You are not fixed. You are coded for transformation. Your awakening is not an accident. It is a biological inevitability. Metaphors carry you past the intellect into the body, and your body already knows. Haven't you felt it? The subtle vibration under your skin, the sense that you are dissolving into something new, the pressure of old patterns collapsing, the whisper of imaginal wings unfurling inside you. You are not just hearing these words, you are embodying them. You are the caterpillar dissolving, the butterfly forming. You are the water on the edge of boiling. You are DNA awakening to hidden sequences. And here's the most important part. None of these transformations require force. The caterpillar doesn't have to push itself into wings. The water doesn't strain itself into vapor. DNA doesn't fight to express its code. The transformation happens naturally when the conditions are right. And what are those conditions? Coherence, attention, presence, alignment. The butterfly metaphor reminds you. You are not broken for dissolving. You are being reformed. The boiling water reminds you. pressure is not punishment. It is preparation for phase change. The DNA reminds you. Your potential is already within. You are simply awakening what was dormant. Feel this in your body now. Close your eyes if you wish. Imagine yourself as the cocoon, melting into luminous fluid. Imaginal cells humming with possibility. Imagine yourself as water, trembling at the threshold of vapor, ready to leap into a new state. Imagine your DNA spiraling with light, dormant codes flickering awake. This is not fantasy. This is metaphor embodying truth. You are the paradox, the observer and the observed, the dissolving and the becoming, the now and the not yet. And as you embody this metaphor, let it soothe you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be in the cycle of transformation. The loop you once feared is simply the cocoon. The pressure you once resisted is simply the phase transition. The longing you feel is simply the code awakening. Let the metaphor carry you into trust, because the truth is, your future self, the butterfly, the vapor, the awakened DNA is already real, already formed, already waiting. And from that future, it is calling you forward. And that is where we must go next. The promise that you are not moving blindly into uncertainty, but into a destiny that has already been written in your favor. You've walked with me through the loop, through the science, through the metaphors that reveal your transformation. Now it's time to rest into the deepest truth of all. The version of you you've been longing for already exists. Yes, hear that again. The future self you dream of, the one who is free from repetition, radiant in coherence, alive with clarity, is not a distant goal. It is a present reality, vibrating in the quantum field, entangled with you right now. Think of it like a radio station. The signal is already being broadcast. The music is already playing. You don't have to build the song from scratch. You only need to tune the dial. When you shift your frequency, when you align your attention, you step into the broadcast that was always waiting for you. And that future self, oh, it knows you. It has watched you stumble, watched you repeat, watched you doubt. It has also watched you endure, persist, awaken, and rise. It has been whispering across time, sending signs, guiding synchronicities, nudging you toward this very moment. Haven't you felt it? That strange pull in your chest. That sense that something greater is calling, even when you can't name it. The déjà vu that makes you wonder if you've already lived this moment before. Those weren't random. Those were echoes of your future self, sending ripples back through time to remind you. You make it. You already are it. This is why you're here, hearing these words. Because some part of you knew this reminder would come. Some part of you arranged this meeting across the fabric of time. And now the message arrives, not from me but from yourself. You are not just the observer. You are also what is being observed. You are the one who watches and the one who is watched. You are the dreamer and the dream becoming real. So let me promise you something. The transformation you seek is not uncertain. It is inevitable. Just as the caterpillar inevitably becomes the butterfly, just as water inevitably becomes vapor, your awakening is woven into the code of your being. You cannot miss it. You can only delay your recognition of it. And the delays, the loops, the repetitions, the breakdowns were never mistakes. They were part of the training. Every time you circled back, you gained strength. Every time you fell, you gathered wisdom. Every time you felt trapped, you were actually dissolving into something new. You have not wasted time. Time has been preparing you. Your future self already exists. And right now, it is watching you with love, with patience, with certainty. It is holding the blueprint of your becoming, waiting for you to align with it. Every coherent breath you take, every intentional act you offer, every moment of presence you embody, brings you closer into resonance with that self. And here is the promise. Once you align with that frequency, reality rushes to meet you. Doors open, loops dissolve, synchronicities multiply. What felt like effort becomes flow. What felt like resistance becomes grace. Life does not become perfect, but it becomes perfectly aligned. I want you to feel that promise in your body now. Place your hand on your heart. Close your eyes if you wish. Breathe slowly. With each inhale, imagine drawing your future self closer. With each exhale, imagine the loops, the doubts, the fears dissolving. Feel the presence of that self not ahead of you, but beside you, within you, watching you, even now. Do you feel it? That warmth, that pulse, that quiet certainty. That is the promise. You are already becoming what you have always been. And the beauty is, you don't have to force it. You don't have to control it. You only have to allow it. To trust that the same intelligence that guides the stars, that folds DNA, that turns caterpillars into butterflies, is guiding you. The outcome is already secured. So when the doubt returns, as it sometimes will, remember this. Your future self is not ahead of you. It is within you. And every time you align, you step into that reality. You are not lost. You are not late. You are not broken. You are unfolding. You are remembering. You are awakening into the truth that has been waiting all along. And in a moment, we will seal this awakening together, not just with words, but with a sacred declaration, a collective affirmation that will ripple through the field, uniting all who are here with us now, across time and space. Because the promise is not just personal, it is collective. And the declaration we speak next will anchor this awakening not only in you, but in us all. Breathe with me now, slowly, deeply. Let this final moment be more than words. It is a declaration, a sealing, an anchoring into the field. You have walked the path of remembrance, from the loops that held you, to the science that revealed you, to the metaphors that embodied you. You have seen the promise of your future self, felt its presence watching you. And now, we close this circle together, with a vow spoken not just in your mind, but in your heart. Repeat this silently, or whisper it aloud. I am not just the observer. I am also what is being observed. I am not trapped in the loop. I am the one who dissolves it. I am coherence. I am attention made sacred. I am the resonance that lifts the collective. I am the dream, and the dreamer becoming one. Feel the vibration of these words ripple through your body. Notice how your skin tingles, how your breath steadies, how your heart softens. This is not imagination, this is alignment. Each repetition writes a new code into your cells, a new signal into the quantum field. Now imagine thousands, even millions, across space and time, speaking this with you. Imagine the web of light connecting us, each person a star, each voice a frequency, each affirmation a tuning fork. Together, we are not just declaring, we are entangling, resonating, amplifying. This is why you were called here. Not just to hear, but to participate. Not just to awaken, but to help awaken the field. And in this sacred moment, you are doing exactly that. So here is your final ritual. Write your declaration in the comments. Type it not as a sentence, but as a spell. Let it be your offering, your signature, your mark in the morphic field. As others read your words, they will feel them, they will resonate with them, and the awakening will ripple further still. Like the butterfly emerging, like the water leaping into vapor, like the DNA sparking awake, you are declaring your transformation. You are sealing your destiny. You are stepping into the truth that has always been yours. So let this be our collective seal. We rise together, we awaken together, we remember together, and as you leave this space, know that you are never alone. The observer in you and the observed in you walk hand in hand. The future self that called you here continues to guide you. The collective field continues to amplify you. This is the sacred declaration. You are not just watching life, you are life, watching itself. Carry this truth. Speak it, share it, live it, and let the universe, watching you now, respond in kind.